there's cracks and fissures, and it'll start going from a sheet into channeling. What goes from sheet to a channel, then that spills over the ridge. And in the middle, you see this, it's called a rock blade. See that? The rock blade is that, yes, that's it right there, separating the two alcoves. If the flood had continued for another few days, that rock blade would have been gone. And you would have had a single alcove up there. Now, in the next, as this proceeds, what we're going to do is we're going to go down, and we're going to be right at the head of the rock blade. Right there, yeah, right there. We're standing right there. So now you're going to get to see, as the drone is about to take off, you're seeing the landscape. We're looking to the east in the direction of those Finger Lakes. I guess the soundtrack.
Is it not playing in the sound?
No, oh, there we
I
go.
don't hear it.
A little toccata and fugue in D minor.
Okay, and the landscape opens up. So you're on that rock blade.
We're on the rock blade right there.
That's
So now you can begin to see the scale of this thing that we were just seeing from Google Earth.
Well, now the way when you describe it, I mean, I would have just looked at it and go, wow, that's kind of cool looking. I would have never have thought, oh, that was obviously created by water pouring through.
That's the problem, is because we haven't had the scale of perception. It took Brett's 25 years to put the pieces together.
Well, also, we haven't been able to take these sort of high-resolution photographs with drones right above it until recently.
Yeah, it gives us a whole other insight. I mean, it used to be $1,000 an hour to get up there in a helicopter. Now you can fly a drone around,
with a phone.
Yeah, exactly.
GoPro on it.
Right here in the middle ground, you see that big hole? That's about 200 feet in diameter. That's a pothole that was created by this swirling vortex of massively turbulent water.
Holy shit, this is incredible.
In other words, the evidence is all over the landscape, staring us in the eyes, and it's only in the recent years that it's started to make sense.
Where we've evolved the eyes to be able to see this. And so now by going out here with a drone, I've been over this landscape several times in a small plane to see it from that perspective. But now, like he just said, like Graham just said, now we've got a drone that can go up and see it from a whole different perspective. And now you can see the man standing right down there on the rock.
No.
Do you see him?
Oh, that little dude? Yeah. Yeah.
That little dude is 6 feet tall. He's not that little.
I mean, on the picture, he's little.
No, in
Sure,
real
he's a
life, he's
regular
actually
sized
only
person.
4 inches. It's an illusion.
What's to me stunning, I mean, this is really beautiful and cool and everything like that, but what's really stunning is the initial picture, where it becomes so obvious, that above picture where you see the farmland and that just, it's so obviously cut,
Sliced out of the landscape.
So let's see the rest of it as the drone flies over. Yeah. So, and then we have what's called classic scabland. You see all these mounds, these kind of lumps? That's what are the scabs on the scabland. That's why it's called scabland.
And again, it's flooding that causes differentially plucking material off the surface.
Wow. This is incredible, and then there's water remaining.
Yeah, they fill the potholes.
God,
there you get a sense.
Oh my God.
There you get a sense of the rock blade.
Well, there you get a sense of what the volume of water must have looked like when it was rushing through there.
Right, and see, this is just.
Holy
shit.
shit.
We've looked at 2 features now: Camas Prairie and Potholes Cataract. We could sit here for the next 10 hours looking at dozens and dozens of these mega features. And you look at, there's a whole bar. This is a gravel down here.
Over there.
And
Okay.
look at, see the giant ripples
Yeah.
on it? You see those?
Yeah.
I've never seen those reported in the literature. It may be that nobody's ever really seen them before.
Or no one's ever paid attention.
Nobody's ever paid attention, but there they are.
So what is mainstream science used to describe this sort of, or mainstream archaeology used to describe these
This
features?
would be geology. Well,
Did I say
catastrophic
archaeology?
flooding.
Yeah, so they believe this is catastrophic flooding as well.
Oh, yeah.
They just think it's a slower.
They think it's lots of small catastrophic floods. They're not one big catastrophic flood.
And what kind of timeline are these geologists putting on this?
Oh, 2,000 or 3,000 years.
And why do they think that?
Well, because of the ice dammed model and how much time it would take. See, it gets complicated.
And because until the comet research, there was no credible source of heat that could melt that amount of ice and cause that.
Right.
Now that's the new factor that's come into the
Right.
equation.
Now you look at the people standing on the cliff edge there, the edge of the rock. You see them down there?
Yeah.
So now you get the sense of
Scale.
what would survive again in the aftermath.
Not
of
that dude.
something. No, not that dude. Not that dude or his buddies.
Yeah. This is a crazy place, man. It's crazy to look at. It's just so, when you're looking above it, like even here, I mean, you get a sense of it, but if you had just showed this to me, quite honestly, I probably wouldn't have pieced that together. But when you look at it, the original image, it's so blatantly obvious.
Right. Well, that's the thing now is we are in this position where we can see it. And when I take people out in the field, what I do is I prep them first by showing these images from NASA, the satellite photography, the Google Earth imagery, aerial photography, then ground photography, and then you go out in the landscape. And at that point, you can start having this framework for understanding what you're seeing. Otherwise, you just don't. The scale of it is too vast.
It's amazing. It's really amazing.
And this is an adventure of exploration that we're just getting launched on. This is recovering the lost past of humanity. And if I may, I want to make a pitch again for the Comet Research Group. If anybody, I think it's really important. It's not just a matter of funding their research. It's also a matter of sending a message that we, the people, are prepared to take matters into our own hands and support those scientists who are working with open minds, inquiring into the past. And whether you give $1 or $100 or whatever, any little counts. It's the voice of the people as much as the money that really matters. These guys, the Comet Research Group, they need their research funding. They have an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign. You can go to my website, press the Comet Research Group banner. It will take you to a page with all that will change the whole story of our past and our future.
And it's a story that would be incredibly exciting to be a part of. And that's what I'm trying to get people to think. Look, there's this thing happening, and it is democratic in its own way. And you don't have to be some specialist or particular authority in some branch of academically approved science to begin getting it into the discussion, into debate, and spending more time on this because it's such an interesting story.
And that's what the scientists at the Comet Research Group are offering, that the people who contribute will participate in certain ways.
That's awesome. Well, we're all, what I was going to say is we're all human beings. We're a part of this planet. We are pedestrians walking along we're being carried by this planet. And all this stuff is our right. It's your right to understand what the history of this crazy rock has gone through.
Absolutely.
This is amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing stuff.
And the perspective to understand this is like this. For 12,000 years, this story has been written into the landscape of the earth. And only now are we able to step back and begin to see the big picture in tandem with ever greater detail. And what's emerging is really, it's a really wild tale, but the evidence is there to support it completely.
And this is the story I've told to Magicians of the Gods.
Mm-hmm.
This is recovering this lost memory.
It really is wild. I mean, our time here on this planet has been confusing for so many reasons, and one of the big ones is not understanding